Hello my loves and welcome to a new reading vlog. So this vlog is going to be a week-long reading vlog, and it is all the books I'm going to hopefully try and read for the Game of Tones readathon that I'm participating in. So I have done a TBR video which talks all about the readathon itself and the prompts and what books go with those prompts, but just a quick background. This is a month-long readathon. However, there was one last year which was in November. It was just, I think, a week or a 2-week one. I can't remember how long it was, but it was like an origin story, so it was just like a teaser to what the main quest is, which is what this readathon is. It is run by Dasha over at Mythic Pages, and she's got numerous hosts to all the different paths and houses. But basically it's a month-long readathon, this one is, and it's inspired by her TBR game, which is Game of Tomes, but also Game of Thrones. It's like a very interlinked, like her TBR game is based on Game of Thrones, but she's made it all book related. So yeah, this is a month-long readathon, but I wanted to try and get this one done as soon as I can, because one of the books that I've got on my TBR for the other readathon I'm doing, I need to read a book before that, which is what's in this TBR, so I want to go through this first just so I can get that out of the way, so then I can definitely pick up the other book. So I have 5 books. So there's one prompt which is a group prompt which everyone has depending on which way you are. So the group prompt, there's 2. So the group prompt is either start a series if you're new to the readathon, or if this is the second readathon you join and you did the origin story, then it's to continue a series. And so for that I am continuing Sharon of Bone series, which is Ruin and Rising by Levi Dugo. I've already started reading this. I'm on page 101, so this is my first book because King of Scars is in my other readathon TBR, and I obviously need to read this before that one because there's spoilers in that one that's to do with this. So yeah, reading this currently. And then on the actual Stark path, yes, in the Stark path, I don't have to do anything extra because I'm staying in the same house I was in the first one. So the first Stark path prompt was feed the direwolves, and that's to read a book that's got animal on a cover or in the book, so that will be Never Night by J. Christoph. Then it's I think travelling to go and see John, which is a book that's to do with travelling, road trips, anything like that. So I've got The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary. This is actually also in the book in the other readathon TBR, so at least I can tick this one off and that one off. Then it's Winter Sky, basically a book that has grey or silver on the cover, so I've gone with City of Ashes, which has got silver, but this is also quite grey here as well. And then the last prompt is to help Arya train, so anything to do with training, schools, exams, stuff like that. So that is going to be The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik. So I would like to try and read all of these in the week. I am giving myself a week to do this. If I can at least do 3 or 4, and if I don't do all 5, I'm not like horrendously going to be disappointed. But if I can probably like dive through these very quickly and then have these 2 left, I'll be quite happy. But I mainly want to get this out of the way just purely because then I know I can start King of Stars. So we're going to be focusing on this one. Like I said, I've already started it and I'm very much enjoying it. I feel like this is definitely giving me 5-star vibes already. I wasn't too keen on Siege and Storm purely because Mal was like irritating me like anything. And in here, at the moment, Mal and Alina aren't actually like a couple. They're obviously, like, it's quite intense between them, but they're not awful. But I quite like it because I'm like, do you know what? He's not being awful. She's not like pining, and I'm alright with this scenario at the moment. Like, I do know they get together. I've seen all the artwork and I've seen certain bits that people have said about it, so I know they do end up together. But at the moment, I'm actually really enjoying it a lot more than the second book. So I feel like this is going to be a 5-star read. So I'd have had 5-star for Shadow and Bone, 4-star for Siege and Storm, 5-star for this, unless it drastically goes downhill, but I'm enjoying it. So we're concentrating on this. It's a very quick, easy read. I am jumping on some reading sprints tonight. I think Ashley's doing some Patreon sprints, so once I've got Alice to bed, I will jump on. So I probably would get a good couple of hours reading, so hopefully I probably might manage to get quite a chunk of this done. But yeah, that's what we're doing. It's going to be a week-long one. I'm not going to do loads and loads of talking. I think what I'm going to do is read, probably give you a update, and then the next time I update is when I finish, sort of thing, just because I know this will be really long otherwise. So it's not going to be extremely in-depth talking like I usually do, just because otherwise it's going to be a very long video, and I can't afford to have a very long video when I've done an hour and a half video vlog of House of Sky and Breath, but that was worth it. But I don't want to do that kind of video again. So yeah, that's the plan for this week, to at least try and get through as many of these books as possible. It is Wednesday, it's the 2nd of March. I wanted to start this yesterday, but I was really busy. I did want to start this earlier, but I've been really busy this morning as well, so I will certainly be reading this more this evening, but I wanted to start this vlog while I look presentable. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this vlog, and I will catch up with you when I've got some reading updates for you. Hi my loves, so I finished Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. I actually finished this just after 3, but my daughter was on her way home, so I didn't want to do any video or start reading anything else just because she was on her way home. But I thoroughly enjoyed this, gave it 5 stars. There are a few bits in here I was like, I'll get to that in a minute. I give it 5 stars because I'm kind of going with the whole from the 1st, 2nd, 3rd book, and apart from like the little bits with Mal, the rest of the books I have really enjoyed. So I kind of was like, do you know what? It really is a 5-star read. Absolutely love the world building and how tense it is, and the like magic system. I think it's very clever. I can't fault Leigh Bardugo's writing at all. Like all of the books that I've read by her, she writes amazing. Like I can't lie, I think Leigh Bardugo is on par with Sarah J Maas's writing and Cassandra Clare's writing. I just think all of her books are just really good, like the world building, the magic, like even the character building, like she just writes amazing, and I feel like that with Sarah J Maas and Cassandra Clare, and other fantasy authors. I've got quite a few that's like on a high list. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I literally cried quite a few times in this book. I got upset about Nikolai, so I now know why people have said read Ruin and Rising before read King of Scars, because King of Scars is going on with what happened to Nikolai. So this is a spoiler, so if you haven't read it and want to, ignore me. Once my hand's down, you can watch again. But basically, the Darkling found where Alina and everyone was hiding, because someone sold them out, basically, which I kind of was expecting to happen, so that was a bit like, oh. But the Darkling ended up turning Nikolai into the Nichevoya monster, so they're not like the Volcra, it was more like winged shadow monster things. But he's, like those monsters that he made from the fold. It wasn't like he never did it in a human, so he just put these shadows into Nikolai, and Nikolai turned. But Nikolai still had some of his humanity, so at the time he was just full of hunger, and like he sort of like flew off in rage. But then throughout the story, he sort of kept sort of following Alina, and so she ended up coming up to him, and I said, do you know who I am? And he sort of like blinked, and she said, I'm Alina, and showed him the emerald ring that he gave her, and he sort of like came up to her and went quite close, and he then like he couldn't talk, but he obviously like caught her hand and basically wanted her to put her son on him to try and ward off the shadows and like his veins, and it was working, but it was also killing him. So basically she realised that to get rid of this monster she had to kill Nikolai, and she wouldn't do it. So I absolutely burst into tears. Like luckily I was home alone, but I burst into tears because it was like, he's one of my favourite characters. Like out of all my favourite characters, it's Kaz and the Crow Club, then it's Nikolai, and then it's probably it's Nikolai. I love Zoya and Jenya and David, and then it's probably Alina, like Mal's like thing, like yeah. So I absolutely got really upset over that, and I was like, oh my god, like what happens? So obviously that opens up to King of Scars, because it's basically he ends up not being like a monster anymore, but I think he's still got a bit of like the Darkling's power in him, and like he's still got like he's got lots of scars, and he's still sort of got some black veins in him, which is why King of Scars is made, because obviously I think he's fighting still his humanity and like the demon inside him sort of thing. So yeah, that I just broke down in tears. And then we were sort of just talking about what to do next. Like they're sort of most of the story was to try and find a Firebird, which is like the 3rd amplifier, and they managed to reach there, and they found the Firebird, but it actually turned out the Firebird wasn't an amplifier, and he knew at the same time, spoiler, that Mao is the 3rd amplifier, that actually Mao is like a descendant by Morikov, or however I pronounce it, so it also means that he is the Darkling's cousin sort of thing. And basically for Alina to get the full power, she has to kill Mal. So we had that reveal, and then we also found out that basically the Darkling said that he's got the children, like the Grisha children, he's captured them, and he will release them if Alina meets him at the fold. So they decide to do that, but him not realise. So she's learnt that she can actually use her sun summoner powers, but instead of like summoning sun, she can do it so it reflects, so she can turn objects, people invisible. So she was practicing and she managed to manage that. So they went to the fold, completely disguised, so like the Volcra couldn't see them, like smell them but couldn't see them, and so they managed to get to the Darkling and get some like fighting, but then everything went to pot, and this is where the spoilers now come, so again, hand up. Basically the Darkling sort of realised what she was doing, so someone did a lucky shot and managed to shoot her, which was in her arm, so she couldn't hold the invisibility anymore. And basically everything was going to pot. She managed to do something to trick the Darkling to get away from his monsters, but obviously it became clear that there's no way they could defeat Darkling, so Mal, she threw herself off the bridge for a distraction, and Mal somehow found her, and basically he was like, you need to keep on your promise, like the only way to do this is you need to take my amplifier powers, which is the reason why he could track and everything. So between them, he got a knife and guided it into her, and he died, and I cried. Like, you know me, Mal is not my favourite character, but in this book he was just a lot better. Like, he sort of was very much like, he knew, he sort of was like, I'm not worthy of you. Yeah, I won't go into that, that could be a massive big rant, but that happened and I blubbed because I was just like, what? And literally she killed him, and she didn't draw power or anything. Instead she lost her bloody power, and other people who were obviously like descendants and didn't know, they sort of got a bit of sun summoning, so they sort of did it for her, but she had no power. So she killed Mal for no flipping reason, and she was then like, how the hell am I meant to defeat the Darkling now if I've got no power? But the Darkling completely got shocked because he didn't know that Mal was an amplified. Like, he had no idea. He just thought he was a tracker. That's why he wanted Mal, because he used Mal as leverage to do things. And then because Alina was no longer a sun summoner and all that, he didn't want anything got to do with her. He goes and says, and he got really angry, but she still had the knife in that she killed Mal with, so she drove it right into the Darkling because he was so shocked, like he was stunned that he didn't see it coming, and so she killed him. And because she killed him, the fold broke. All of the monsters and the Volcra all went to poof. That meant Nikolai, who was also there sort of helping in his own way, Nikolai then turned back into a human. Like, I still think he's got some of the Darkling shadow in him. I don't think that's fully gone, but he's no longer a winged clawed monster. And yeah, but because she was no longer a sun summoner, she got all of the people there, Grisha wise, to say, this is me dead. Like, you make me into a martyrdom, you make me it's called a Sancta Alina. So, so I now understand why in Crooked Kingdom, why they said that Alina was dead, but Inej still believed that maybe she wasn't. But so no, so she got someone called Ruby got killed, but she had no family or anything to find her. So Genya, I'm not sure how you pronounce her name really. I've been saying Genya all the way through, but she managed to turn Ruby into Alina. So Alina and the Darkling got burned and all that, but the Darkling never became a saint, but she did, and so she's back to normal. Mal managed to get resurrected. So I can't remember who it was. Was it Tolya? I think it was one of the twins. I think, who's a Heartrender, managed to bring him back alive, and someone else helped. So Mal's alive, but they've made Mal again died. So they've got like different names, but like it ended that they've gone to where they used to live when they were orphans. They've gone there. They've got money. They've got married, but they're under fake names and all that. So yeah, like, I will be totally honest, like, the ending wasn't as brilliant as I was expecting. Like, I was expecting a massive big war out fight with like how everything was like in all three books. I thought it was going to be a massive big fight and shit's going to go down, but in fact the only way that they managed to defeat the Darkling was for Alina to go back to being normal and not a Grisha, which shocked the Darkling, which made him vulnerable at that time for her to stab him. So after all of that, that was how it ended. And I did like the fact that actually Elena mourned the Darkling, because regardless of what he did, and I'm in agreement, like, the Darkling is still a character I like. Like, I know he's a baddie, but even when I read the first book, when I watched this season 1 on Netflix, you know, even throughout there, I was like, no, I do like him. Like, what he wants isn't bad. He's just done the wrong way about it. Like, he basically wanted Grisha to be not enemies. He wanted Grisha to be a part of the rest of the people of Ravka, not be deemed like monsters because they had powers and all that. Like, he wanted the world to be as one. He just went the wrong way about it, and which caused the fold, which then basically made him an enemy, sort of thing. And you know, yeah. So it was good. Like, you know, I've given it 5 stars. I do feel like the ending could have been a bit more like that, but in regards to the writing, the plot, the characters, you know, it was an absolute blast. Like, it really was a good series. So now I can officially enjoy King of Scars, which I'm really excited about. Like, I genuinely cannot wait to see what goes on with Nikolai, and you know, what's going on with him. I like the fact that in Ruin and Rising they said that like, it was like a Russian name, but it was translated for King of Scars, which opened up for the book, which obviously at the time none of us knew there was going to be that book. So I appreciate that. That was a good little hint to this is actually going to be what's next. So yeah, really enjoyed the books and everything. And yeah, so I'm now going to read my next book, which is Nevernight by J. Kristoff. I read the little prologue, which was literally 2 pages, and so I'm now on part 1, chapter 1. I'm a little bit apprehensive for this book. Like, everyone says it's a really good series, but it is to do with being in church, it's to do with cults, it's also to do with demons, and I'm guessing like supernatural powers as well. I'm just worried about how churchy and cultish it might be. Like, I love reading books about cults, don't get me wrong, I do. There are books that when I've read them, like, I think I've read 2 cultish books and I thoroughly enjoyed, but they do get me extremely angry. Like, I mean really angry. But because this is a cult within a church, I think I'm just a little bit like, ooh, how is it going to be? So I'm a bit apprehensive just because of that, because I don't mind reading books about faith. Like, I'm not against them, but I'm not religious, which is, you know, it's no different to, like, I sometimes feel if it's too churchy and too religious, I don't like it, because it just feels like someone's, I don't know, it's just how I am. So I'm a bit apprehensive, thinking, oh my god, is it going to be too churchy? That's just going to annoy me. Is it going to be too cultish that I get really angry? But it's to do with death and demons and powers and vengeance, and yeah, it says on here, characters you'll remember for years, which is blurred by Robin Hobb, and from Sci-Fi Now it says something special. So yeah, we'll give it it says never flinch, never fear, never forget. So I'm just starting chapter 1, so we'll see how we get on. Like, if I honestly do not like this book, and I can't persevere with it, like, I will DNF it, and I'll just find another book to go on this prompt. I've got plenty of books that have got animals involved, but I'm hoping I will like it. I've read Illuminae by J. Kristoff, obviously with Amy Kaufman in it as well, but I do quite like how he writes his characters, so we'll see. Hello. I have a lot of updates to give you because there's been some changes. So, I was currently reading Nevernight by J. Kristoff. I managed to get to page 100, so I only read a few more pages from when I last updated you. I can't. I've even stopped reading the annotations and just reading the story itself. And I think I'm struggling with the dialogue in some sense, because some of the dialogue is very old. And it's just, at the moment, I'm so confused that I'm not fully enjoying the book. So I decided I'm going to give this, it's going to be put away. Like, at the moment, it's going to be a DNF. Whether I will pick it back up later down in life, we'll see. But at the moment, I just know I'm going to put myself in a slump if I continue reading. Like, it might pick up, like, I might get so far and everything picks up, but at the moment I'm just, it's taken me a day and a half just to read 100 pages. I can read a book, maybe 2 books in a day, depending on how much I love them. And I just thinking, no, I do not want to take forever reading a book when I have so many books I need to read, and I want to bash them out, which usually I can. I can read a book a day if I put myself in it. So I've given this a no. I'm DNFing it. Whether I will go back to it later on down in life, we'll see. At the moment, I probably won't, but yeah. So obviously, because I'm DNFing that, and I'm not going to really class it as I read because I've only read 100 pages, and that's not really that much, I'm going to change that to Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. So this has got animals. It's got 8 animals on the cover, but we have obviously the rabbit, we've got the Cheshire Cat, we've got the caterpillar, and I haven't read this book, and it's all in illustrations as well, so but I haven't read Alice in Wonderland in ages, and I love this copy. This was kind of the... I think I swapped this, or was it gifted? I can't really remember. No, I think I swapped this with someone. Either way, this is going to be a really quick, easy read. I absolutely love Alice in Wonderland. My daughter pretty much reminds me of Alice in here, so I am going to be reading this for the animal prompt now. Also, because I stopped reading Nevernight, I decided to pick up City of Ashes, book 2 in the Mortal Instruments series. I just wanted to pick something off to get me out of my little... wasn't slumping, but I could feel myself going in. I thought, no, let's quickly read a book that I know I'll enjoy. I'm currently on page 144. I'm in the middle of a chapter, but my dinner was ready. Absolutely loving this book. It's just... I love the Shadowhunters, I love the movie, I love the TV series, and I'm starting to get myself through the books, and I'm really loving the books. I love the first book, and I do think I've read this one and a third book from the library a few years back, because as I'm reading this, I am remembering things, but I'm sort of there thinking, am I remembering things because of the TV series and the movie or not? I don't think so, because some bits in here I remember and are not in the TV series. But absolutely loving this. I'm so glad I picked it up purely because I know if I continued on Nevernight, I probably would be slumping. So I'm just going to literally finish this chapter, and then I'm just going to quickly pick this up and read it and finish it. It won't take me too long, just because I want to do the books in the prompt order. So I'm just going to finish this chapter. I don't have many pages left in that chapter, she says. Oh, maybe I do. Okay, I've got about 10 pages. I'll finish this, pick this up and finish it, then I'll get back to this. Hello, good morning. Thought I'd give you some reading updates while I can. I've read and finished 2 books yesterday. So I read Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. I gave this 4 stars on Goodread and 4.75 stars on Storygraph. I love Alice in Wonderland. It's one of my favourite children literature books that I really like. I love the quotes in here. Honestly, those quotes are just iconic. The reason why I didn't give it full 5 stars is something really minuscule, probably pathetic. I should just give it 5 stars because I did enjoy it and have a blast, but I'm not very good at reading books that's children. I think middle grade is also probably a no for me. I'm 31 years old, I don't mind reading YA. Adult, obviously I don't mind, and I don't mind reading books where we've got teenagers or young adults, stuff like that, but I just do find when we have a book and your main character is a child, the things that happen, it's very young and it doesn't hold my attention, and things like that. So in that sense, it's not got the 5 cents just because it does feel quite young for me. But if we go by the enjoyment, the quotes and everything like that, then in hindsight I could give it a 5 stars, but I'm just being nitpicky in the sense of, it's just, I feel really old when I read books like this. It's just it's an iconic book. I really enjoyed it. I do love Alice in Wonderland. It is one of my favourite stories, but at the same time I'm I feel so old because it's just the stuff in here it's scary for a child, but for a 31-year-old it's it's just silly. But yeah, I also then finished City of Ashes by Cassandra Clare, which is book 2 of the Mortal Instruments. I breezed through this. I honestly, the Mortal Instruments series, I can breeze through. And I thought I read this, but I don't think I have. I think I started reading it because the start of the book was very familiar. I think I might have started reading it and never finished it, because once I got halfway through, I was I can't remember any of this. And it also is because I've watched the movie, because I've watched the TV series, I do know the story, but I know the books also are quite different. But I breezed through this. It was just an easy, quick read. I love our characters. I love the world building. It's always intense and all that, and it makes me really want to pick up the 3rd book. I did say that I wanted to try and get through the Shadowhunter series because there's so many books, and I wanted to do it in a way. There's numerous different ways to do it, read the series, but I did it the way Cassandra Clare has suggested, where you read book 1 to 3 of the Mortal Instruments, then you read book 1 and 3 of the Clockwork Angel or something like that, and then you read 4 to 6 of this one, and then because apparently there's characters in that get mentioned, and other books that are in the books, and it ties it all together a bit more. Like, you don't have to, you can just read it in like series order or whatever, but I wanted to do it that way just to see. And I also was quite oohing because as we've got Imogen here, who is the Inquisitor, and I'm sure in the TV series she wasn't the Inquisitor. She was going to get married to Alec, but that obviously fell through. So I was just like, is it the same as Imogen, or am I thinking of something completely different? It's certainly one of those ones where I feel like it makes me want to watch the TV series again, and I've watched that about 10 times now. Like, you know, I don't get tired of it. But absolutely loved this. It was really intense. It left it in, you know, a cliffhanger with someone saying that they can bring back Clary's mum. Just an amazing book. Like, honestly, I forgot how much I love this book. Like, Cassandra Clare is, I think Cassandra Clare, Sarah J Maas, and Leigh Bardugo for YA books, some YA books, I know Sarah J Maas does adult. Like, their YA books are brilliant. I absolutely love Kerry Mansacalco's writing as well. There are some authors here who just do the fantasy world brilliant, and Cassandra Clare is definitely that. But yeah, absolutely love this. Like, I devoured this in a couple of hours, which I was completely shocked at how quickly I read that, to be honest. And I did start last night The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary. This isn't in chapters, it's just by names, but I am on page 73. Absolutely loving this. Like, I love Beth O'Leary's The Flatshare. Like, I've read The Flatshare, I've read The Switch. This was her latest release. She has got a new one coming out soon this year, and that's why I sort of wanted to read this before that came out. Like, none of these books carry on from each other at all. They're not anything, but like, I just like sometimes reading books in publication order. But I loved The Flatshare. Like, a lot of people loved it, a lot of people hated it. I loved it. I just loved the characters, and you know, I am not one who, if I really nitpick the book, it would have been like, surely these people would have seen each other before, you know, when they didn't all that. But actually, I didn't care. The like writing for me and everything was just brilliant. I could ignore the little bits that really, if you really nitpick, wouldn't actually happen at all. But I could get over that just because the writing and the character building and the slow burn romance was just brilliant. So this, we follow Addie and Dylan. So basically, Addie is in the car with her, technically they're half sisters, but no more on sisters really. But they're in the car in her Mini, or it might be Deb's Mini, sorry. And they're travelling up to Scotland because one of their friends is getting married. It's also the first time she's going to meet her ex-boyfriend Dylan, because he's also friends with this person and he has been invited to the wedding too. So that they're both all travelling up to Scotland. So Deb and Addie are in a Mini, and Dylan and his best friend Marcus are in Marcus's Mercedes. Anyway, they're driving and Addie sort of stops because a lorry was stopping, and Dylan was behind her and didn't really think much, but then he saw a bit of the woman's face because Addie was driving and realised it was Addie, and he completely didn't see that they were stopping and all that, and he crashed into their Mini. So the Mini is absolutely fine, but they've completely ripped off Marcus's Mercedes, which just makes you laugh that the most expensive car was the one that got trashed rather than the Mini. Anyway, so in the end, Marcus and Dylan go into the Mini to go and travel up there, and obviously, so we've got the forced proximity trope, which sometimes I like, sometimes I don't. It's just like, whatever. Which I suppose in hindsight what she maybe had in a Flatshare, and I just didn't really click on it. But we basically they have not spoken to each other for 20 months. We don't know what happened to them. We just know that the pair of them completely got brokenhearted, and that there was a big betrayal and everything there. It's very clear that Addie cannot stand Marcus. Whether there's something happened with Marcus or what, I'm not sure. But at the moment, she's just biting her lip, trying not to flip out and all that. She's trying to be the bigger person, and it's very hard to. But something happened in the car, and Addie had to pull over. I'm not 100% whether the car's gone a bit funny or what. I don't really know. But basically, Dylan's trying to talk to her, and they have a few moments where they talk to each other. It's very clear that they both still have quite a bit of attraction. I don't think either of them are over one another, to be honest. But we are actually getting present and past. So we have then and now. So we have now, which is them in the car and everything, and then we have then, which at the moment is Lem meeting one another, and everything. So it was very clear that when they first met each other, it was insta love, but they couldn't actually act on it because Addie was working, being like a caretaker, like, so they were on holiday but also working, her and Deb, and the person who was renting out the house, or villa, whatever you like to call it, was Dylan. And basically her and Dylan meet and they have that attraction, and they pretty much were going to go back and have sex, but Dylan's uncle appeared, and so that went out the pan and he's not had a chance to do anything. So that's where we are in the Len bit. I do think it's going to sort of open up what went on with their relationship, and I do think it's going to tell us what happened. But from what I've seen, I do think this is going to be a second chance romance. So it will be intriguing. Like I'm enjoying it. Like, there is insta love, which I don't really like, to be honest, but I'm also like, do you know what? I don't really mind, because I'm really enjoying the characters. I think they're lovely. With all of Beth O'Leary's books, I do find you get one character that you cannot stand, which I feel is exactly the same with Heidi Swain books. I always have one character I'm like, I really detest you, I don't like you. And it's certainly like clear with, there was one in Thatcher that wasn't keen on, which was the girlfriend that then turned into ex-girlfriend. In The Switch, there was like the ex who I didn't like, and I don't like Marcus in this. Like, I absolutely cannot stand him. I'm thinking, you're an utter prick. Like, why is Dylan even friends with him? But yeah, I'm really enjoying this. Like, I honestly think this is going to be a 5-star read. This is obviously a 5-star read, I forgot to say. I really, really want to pick this up and read, but obviously I am busy, so I probably won't pick it up until tonight. But I honestly do think I'm just going to breeze this in one sitting, because it's just such an easy, fun read, and I can't put it down. Like, I had to put it down last night because it was 1:30. I was like, I should probably go to bed since I need to be up to do the stuff I need to do with Alice tomorrow and all that. And so I was like, went to bed, but I really didn't want to go to bed because I wanted to carry on reading. So yeah, I've read 2 books. I've read 3 books already in this vlog, which I'm very happy with. I'm on my way to reading my 4th, and then I've literally got 1 book left for this readathon, and then I'm done. So if I carry on with this like fast track that I am onto now, I'll be really glad that because I want to do this, and then I think I want to try, and I do need to read 1 book for a tour, so that probably would take priority after I finish these. And then once I've read that, I really want to start reading the other readathon, because that's not yeah. If I carry on with the speed I'm doing and how quickly I'm doing, I'll be more than on track. I'll be like giving myself more time. So fingers crossed, we're on it now. Hello. Oh, guys, I'm knackered. Just come back from Alice's friend's birthday party. It was so packed. Like, honestly, I think there was probably 25 to 30 kids. And then with us parents, it was like 40, 45 of us in a really small church. I have got a banging headache. I'm exhausted, and I was only there for 2 hours. But the perks of going to a birthday party, Alice got given this massive big sweet cone, but she doesn't eat any sweets like this. It's mainly chocolate. So that's all for me. So I'm sorted. I'm quickly popping on because I finished the Road Trip by Beth O'Leary. So I literally had about 10 pages left of this book before I had to head off to the birthday party. So I literally just come back and had 5 minutes to myself just to finish it because my head is pounding. So when I last spoke to you, I said this was really hard to put down. It was a 5-star read. I was thoroughly enjoying it. I reached the halfway point last night before I went to sleep, and everything kind of went downhill. I did enjoy this. I didn't love it though. The first part of this book I really enjoyed, and I do like the forced proximity. I do like the second chance romance. You know, majority of the characters on here I did really like. I just couldn't stand Marcus. Like, Marcus in the Now in the car trip and all that, he was a prick, but there wasn't much of him. But when we went into the Len moment, so obviously when Addie and Dylan were together, like halfway into the story, we finally got into Marcus being involved, and I was just like, this is the most toxic guy going, and Dylan couldn't even see it. And literally, you know, it was very uncomfortable. Like, it was very clear that Marcus was obviously in love with Addie, and instead of confronting that or anything, he decided to try and wreck Addie and Dylan's relationship. And, you know, he was following Addie, he was saying horrible things and then being nice to her, he was putting words in Dylan's, like, honestly, the most toxic narcissistic, controlling guy you can meet, and I hate reading books about that. I have a past. I've been in an abusive relationship. I've been in toxic friendships and relationships. I've also been with a narcissistic person, and I hate reading those books. I wouldn't say they're triggering. It's more they just get me so angry, because there are some people who just let it continue, even though they know it's wrong. They just let it continue. And I'm thinking, you know, the best thing for you and for everyone was to walk away. Like, it's hard, don't get me wrong, when, you know, me as a teenager, like a young adult sort of thing, I would never get up and walk away. But, you know, when I hit a certain age, I was like, enough's enough. Like, I know my worth. And, you know, without no disrespect to anyone, but when I became a mother, I was just like, do you know what? No, I am not showing my daughter, you know, I didn't want my daughter to see, you know, that side of things. I wanted her to see a strong, independent woman so that she can be just the same. Anyway, going off kilter, I just could not stand Marcus. Like, we reached halfway. We had a massive, big plot twist of saying Marcus pretty much turned around to Dylan and said, how can you still be in love with her when she cheated on you? And I was just like, surely that is not it. Like, surely Addie didn't cheat on him, because the way she was, and they were sort of being polite and talking in the car, there's just no way that either of them would be feeling the way they were feeling in a car if she cheated. So I was like, there must be something more to it. And then when it, do you know what, I'm spoiling it for you guys, but basically it turns out there was a head teacher at a school that she was teaching, but she was like training sort of thing. Anyway, this head teacher sort of had the hots for her. She was like, she was flirting. It was more like a flirting banter. And then he saw her get upset about Dylan because of something. Anyway, he sort of was like occasionally messages and all that. And then one night, basically, he was like, come and have a nightcap. And basically, she was being kind and that. And like, she was smiling. She was like, you know, giving him banter, being kind. And then he made a pass at her. And she said no. And he was just pretty much like, don't do that. And basically, if she didn't run off and that, she would have got raped. So Marcus was there following her, saw that. All he saw was her disappear with him, took a picture, sent it to Dylan, went to Dylan and said, she's cheating on you. And instead of Dylan literally letting Addie say something, he walked out. So she literally nearly got raped. And he did not let her utter a single word. He just listened to the shit his best friend gave him, because his best friend is a narcissistic, toxic guy. And I was fuming. I literally threw my book last night, and this morning, I threw my book, and I was like, no. Like, it ended up happily ever after. It ended up that Marcus dealt with his issues, and there was clearly issues because both him and Dylan going through therapy and all that. But the minute we got Marcus and everything, it went downhill for me. I was just like, no. Like, I don't get me wrong, it was good representation and everything, but for me personally, you know, I would have not forgiven Marcus. If I was that person, I'd be like, no, like, fair enough, he's getting therapy and all that, but he wasn't even admitting his mistakes. He was just sort of, he got caught out, so he was like finally saying stuff. He got caught, so he finally said sorry, and I was just like, no. So I don't know where to rate this, because the first half of this book, I loved it. I couldn't put down, it was 5 stars. But then from halfway to the end, I just couldn't deal with it. Like, I got so angry. He's a disgusting man, and I know it's a book character and all that, but honestly, I was just like, he didn't deserve the friendship. He didn't deserve the forgiveness. I don't think he's ever going to change. And I was just like, for me, Marcus took over the story. So I don't even think this is even going to be a 4-star. I think I'm going to give it a 3-star on Goodreads. On Storygraph, I think I'll give it 3.75. I just feel like either Marcus's character should have been wiped out, or he should have been portrayed a little bit different. I just felt like, because of his narcissism, his toxic behaviour, it took over this book, in my opinion. So yeah, I went into this absolutely loving it. I ended up absolutely thinking, this bloke is just, he pissed me off so badly, even though he's a book character. And honestly, I've read some nasty villains in my fantasies and all that. They do not have anything on Marcus's character. So yeah. We're now on to the last book, which is The Last Graduate, which is the second book of the Scholomance series, which is a duology. So the first book was The Deadly Education. Absolutely loved it. It was a dark academia with supernatural beings. It was amazing. I kind of feel a bit... I can't remember what happened in A Deadly Education. I don't have the books. I got it from the library to actually just read the last chapter to like remember. So I might have to see if I can find stuff on Google just to recap before I get into this, but I'm not going to pick this up until I go to bed anyway. But we're on to my last book. I'm hoping this is a very easy read. I literally read A Deadly Education in one sitting, so I want to try and get quite a bit of this done and then finish reading it tomorrow if possible, or at the latest Tuesday, because then I'm ahead of sort of how I wanted my reading to go. But yeah, we're on to this, but I'm not going to start it until Alice has gone to bed. But I'm very excited for this, and I think this is just going to be perfect for me, because after reading The Road Trip, I really need something to get me out of that, because I'm still seething over that bloody man. But yeah, so we've read 4 books now. Yeah, 4 books? Yeah, whatever. 4, 3, 4, 3, 1. 4 books. Yeah, we read 4 books. I'm now on my 5th, but I'll catch up with you. I'll probably catch up with you tomorrow. Good morning, everyone. So, we've had a bit of a change of plan again in this vlog. Hopefully, I will no longer be changing my mind in books, but moving on. I was reading The Last Graduate, Lesson 2 of the Scholomance by Naomi Novik. This is the second book from A Deadly Education. I really loved that book. Can't remember what happened in that book. I read the first 2 chapters of this book. I was on Sydney's Patreon sprints. I read 2 chapters and I was there thinking, I cannot remember a damn thing that happened in A Deadly Education. And I read it last year. I think I read it at the beginning of last year, but still I read it last year, and it was one of my top books of 2021. So I don't understand why I cannot remember a damn thing. I literally Googled so I could like read spoilers, because obviously I read the book, so it wasn't gonna spoil anything for me. Found an amazing blog on there which this person literally summarized every single chapter. So I breezed through it and read it, and nothing was jogging my memory. I couldn't remember the characters. I couldn't remember what happened. I do remember there was like a massive big attack with these monsters, and our main character Elle defeated them. But that's it. Like, there was obviously a bit of romance in that book, because it was mentioning about this particular boy in this one, and I was there thinking, I can't remember that. And so I had a look at reviews, and again, nothing was jogging my memory. So unfortunately, it's clear that I need to reread the first book for it to jog my memory to then read this, because the first 2 chapters of this, it was brilliant. It was fast paced, and it was really like a lot was already happening. But I didn't have a clue who our characters were. I didn't really know the backstory of all these monsters, and I was just there thinking, I'm confused. And I knew if I continued reading this that I was going to be confused, and I wouldn't enjoy the book so much. And you know, I know I wouldn't enjoy this book. I just can't remember what happened in the first book. So we're not reading this now, because I don't actually own the first book. I read it in the library, and I'm not going to go and request it from the library and wait for it to come just to reread it to do this. Like, it's just too much, and I've got too many books to actually do that. So we're swapping this book, and we are instead going to be reading City of Glass by Cassandra Clare, which is the 3rd book in the Mortal Instruments series. So the prompt for this is help Arya with a sword fighting training or something, or sparring training, something like that. And the prompt is basically my camera's moved. Yeah, the prompt is basically read a book that has some type of training in it. It could be sword fight training, it could be magic training, it can be, you know, it could be a book that focuses on like a romance, and there's like gym there's like a gym scene, stuff like that. Any type of training. It also put about schools, you know, in a school if they've got exams, or you know, anything that's like sort of training them up, which is what I went with The Last Graduate, because it was set in a school, and it was like their last lot of like tests before they come out as like, I'm guessing wizards or something like that. I can't remember. So I'm kind of pushing this prompt into this book, because I'm not 100% sure whether the actual prompt itself fits this particular book that I'm reading, but it does fit, the prompt does fit for the series. So the Shadowhunter verse, which is all of the books that are by Cassandra Clare, they all basically have training. Like throughout their life, they're always training. They're always like doing weapon training, or is mainly weapon training really. And so I'm kind of fitting that in, because the whole universe of the Shadowhunters, they're in an institute, they do have their training. Well, that's sort of how I'm going with. Does this book itself have that? I don't know. I've read 60 pages, I'm on chapter 3, and I'm not 100% sure whether there'll be any type of training in this book, but I'm making it work because I can't be bothered to find any other books that have some type of training in. And I also know if I pick a different fantasy, especially one that's the start of a series, it's going to be a bit slower just to get used to the world and everything like that. So I kind of gone with this book because it's the 3rd book in the series, and I'm in such a Shadowhunter mood now after reading City of Ashes, and I'm just like, do you know what, I want to actually go through the Shadowhunter series now after loving that book so much. And, you know, I knew I was. It's such a quick, easy read. So that's what we're going to go and do. Does it fit the prompt? I'm not 100% sure. Like, the whole series does fit the prompt. Whether this book itself does, I don't know. Like, I'm wondering whether it might, because Clary's gone to Idris, and I'm wondering whether she might actually start getting the training to become like a proper Shadowhunter. But I'm not sure whether it is in this book or whether it's in the other ones. Like, knowing what it's like in the TV series, she does get some training. I just don't know whether it will be in the books or not. But we're making this prompt work with this book. Don't come at me, but yeah. But I'm loving it already. I read 60 pages. I was on the last lot of sprints with Sydney. I think it was about, I started reading it about on like the 34-minute part of the sprint, even though it was an hour long, but I was eating and looking through TikTok. But I managed to read 60 pages in like half an hour, so it's very clear that I can read this book quite fast, and it's very fast paced. So we're doing this. This is the last book. This is the last prompt. I'm probably going to be able to finish this today because I thoroughly love this book, and it's the 3rd book in the series, and you know. So that's what we're doing, and then once I finish this, I can end this vlog and relax a little bit. And just like that, we've finished. And with 10 minutes to spare, I am going to be really quick because I do need to get ready to go and get my daughter. But as much as I read this book already before, this is an absolute 5-star read. Like, all of the 3 books I've read so far have been 5 stars. Just something Cassandra Clare does in her writing. Like, it's so fast paced and you can't put the book down, yet it's still really descriptive and it's got so much world building. And like in most fantasy books, whether it's the 1st book, 3rd book, last book, it still sometimes has that slow pace until the nitty gritty bit. But I feel with Cassandra Clare and with Sarah J. Maas, they continue making everything fast paced yet still descriptive and still fascinating as well. Like, it's just, it takes a really, really done brilliant author, in my opinion, to have all of those key opponents you need in a fantasy and still make you not want to put the book down. You know, this has taken me, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5 hours to read this book and finish it. Like, okay, I read 60 pages, but from 60 pages through to 496 plus the little bit here, 5.5 hours. That did not take me long. This is absolutely amazing. 5 stars. Loved it. Very glad that I picked it up. Be honest, does this actually match and fit the prompt? Technically, no. But I don't care. I really don't care. It's, the Institute is a schooling place. They were fighting, still training and everything. I'm taking it. It might not possibly fully be exactly like what the prompt is, but I made it fit in my way because that's how we're doing it. But yeah, 5 stars read. It means I have completed this readathon in a week, or under a week actually, because I started this on Wednesday, so under a week. We're on it. I do want to start my next load of reads, which is for the other readathon I'm doing, but I'm not, purely because I do have 2 books that take priority. I'm currently doing a buddy read, so I need to read a few chapters of that, and I do need to start reading a sci-fi book that's for a tour, so I want to do that and then get them out of the way so I can focus. So yeah, we've read 5 books. I'm very happy. So just to go over them again, I'll quickly grab the books. Okay, we didn't read 5 books, we read 4 books, but we read Ruin and Rising, which I gave 5 stars. We read Alice in Wonderland, which I gave 4.75 stars, but you know. We then read City of Ashes, which was 5 stars, and then City of Glass, which was 5 stars. So 3 5 stars, 1 4.5 stars. We did well. They're the books. I feel like I had more. Why do I feel like I had more? Maybe I didn't. No, I'm sure I had more. Prompt, animal. Maybe. Oh, and the road trip. I was right. 5 books. The road trip had 3 stars. 3. I don't know what I rated that in the end. And a road trip. We forgot that. My word. I knew I did 5. I thought I was going crazy. Yeah, we read 5 books. My mum's got road trip because she's going to read it. Anyway, thank you for watching this vlog, and I will see you again soon in the next vlog. Bye.